Okay, let's try that again. As I was saying, the age of Yasmin is over, and now the dawn of the age of Ahmed begins. Hey everyone, welcome to the Field Between. My name's Ahmed.
My name is Yasmin.
You have to have your headphones on.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. Amateurs in the house here. Okay.
I'm waking up.
What's up? It's Labor Day.
It's Labor Day, as you said. My birthday month ended, and yours has begun, which is exciting.
Yep.
We had a really fun time for my birthday. At least I did. On my actual birthday day, we tried a new restaurant. I had like a regular work day, but then Ahmed picked me up, and we made slime.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, which is so fun. And Ahmed did all this research. He's such a cutie. He's so like strategic when he tries something new. And it was actually really helpful because I freestyled making slime for my graduation party with a friend, and it was super fun, but we definitely did not get as close to the desired product. Yeah, we kind of made rubber, exactly. And this time we made actual slime. It's like the only thing that still sticks to your fingers, but it's definitely way closer than I was before.
That's kind of what slime is.
No, but
I feel like the stuff that you get in the grocery store, or not the grocery store, but you know, like the stuff that the people online are actually making needs a different name because it's not really slime.
No, it is.
Slime is sticky.
It is sticky, but it should it can kind of stick to your fingers, but you should be able to not get it everywhere because it's like a commercial product, you know? The idea...
We made a platonic slime.
We did. We made the idea of actual slime. That's true. Yeah. It's a really interesting online phenomenon. I think it's a stress relief tool for a lot of adults. It's being marketed to adults almost exclusively.
Yeah.
And people really get into all these different colors and textures and smells, and there's all these weird specialized launches. It's very interesting. Yeah. But I'm a fan, so it was fun to make it. And then we had a little party this Saturday. It was kind of like a housewarming / birthday. It's our first time kind of hosting just more than one or two friends at a time. And it was super fun. It was fun. We've been working really hard on the space, honestly, mostly Ahmed lately, which I'm really grateful for. And it was fun, actually seeing it with people and thinking about what it'll be like, inshallah, as a cafe soonish.
Yeah, I think people liked it.
They liked it a lot, which was really fun. I really prefer hosting here. I miss our old place for some reasons, but it was really nice, having people here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just got a text from the people who took over our house asking if we've ever had a mouse problem.
Yeah, so good time to get out.
Yeah.
We saw one little mouse once. We probably talked about it at the time, but our cat thankfully kind of keeps that in check. So I think they mostly stay in the walls, which is okay. If you want to stay in the wall, you do that, but I just don't want to really see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she seems sad, which is understandable.
Well, that's a bummer. I'm really nervous. I don't know if there's a bug with the program that we record into or...
Really? Do you want to pause and check and see if it's recording?
Yeah, let's see.
Just pick up where we left off, right?
What?
Just pick up where we left off, right?
Yeah. We can pick up where we left off.
Yeah, so it was super fun, honestly. I felt really spoiled. We'll probably have to stop us if we ever have a kid, but it's really nice for this phase of life. We get little birthday budgets. And I also made some extra money this month because I was a consultant.
Hustling.
What?
Hustling.
I was a consultant for a project, yeah. And so I just bought a bunch of little things, and it was so fun because I kept on getting mail, and it was just lots of little gifts. It was very nice. I really filled in some holes in my jewelry collection, and that was nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was a good month. But now it is the time of Ahmed, and what do we have planned for the Ahmed birthday?
Nothing.
That's not true.
Gonna, re-buy something that I lost, and then...
Paintball!
Oh, yeah, we're going to go play paintball with some friends, I think.
How much detail do we want to give about the nature of this paintball?
We're going to go play paintball at I haven't been to this place, but I was told about it. It's
you don't have to.
It's just Vietnam themed. I'm not really sure exactly how it works, but it's a paintball arena that you can rent out with multiple different courses, I guess. And one of them is
Vietnam themed, which we thought was kind of fucked up but pretty funny. So
yeah, so we'll be doing...
You can cut this if you
Vietnam.
want. I thought that was funny.
Fine.
I've never done paintball. Have you?
Aside from just that one time my cousins got their dad to buy them paintball guns and us shooting...
That was kind of rogue because you were just out.
Yeah, no protection, nothing. I've never actually played paintball on an actual paintball course, so I think that'll be fun.
Even that's more than I've done. I've never played paintball. I think I'm gonna find it stressful, but I think it'll be fun because we'll be with friends.
Yeah, I think if it's just us renting out the course.
Yeah.
that'll be fun.
I
I
don't
don't want
think
to
I'll-
like play with other people who are serious about
Right.
paintball.
I don't think I'll find it actually stressful, but I do think I'll be bad at it because I don't have a great sense of coordination.
Maybe we'll trigger some latent, PTSD style. I just don't know what the Vietnam thing like. If it's gonna be like,
I bet it's going to be messed up, but maybe it's not. Maybe I don't know. We'll
do
see.
some John McCain style torture. I don't
Oh,
know.
God.
Come back with arms that just don't work.
I've played laser tag before. That's really fun. I only played once actually. It was super cute with my students when I worked at a high school, and it was they like convinced me because it was our last like month together after 2 years with the same students, and it was super fun.
Laser tag's fun. I've only done it once as well, but it's just kind of hard to tell if you're, like with paintball,
Yeah.
your accuracy matters.
I mean, that's true. It was a pretty immediate impact. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Laser tag just felt a little too like, am I actually doing anything, or is this kind of like a,
Yeah. You should also pick for your birthday month. Maybe it doesn't have to be that exact day if that's too much, but maybe that Friday or something. Because I think your birthday's on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then Caravanserai is that Saturday, so Friday would be
Yeah.
good. If there's like somewhere you want to try, just because we normally like to try new restaurants, and that could be kind of fun that we haven't tried yet or that you want to go back to.
We should try that other sushi place that we wanted to try.
Yeah.
Not the one here.
I could make reservations. Which one?
I forget what it's called, but it's like a kaiseki
Oh
menu
yeah,
type
that'd be
thing.
fun. I'd be down for that. It's like
Yeah.
a tasting menu kind of. I forgot about that place.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't been, but I forgot that was on our radar. Lots of celebrations here. It's good that our anniversary moved because this was a busy time for us with our birthdays.
Yeah.
It used to be that our anniversary was, what did we say it? When did we say it was? Because
I don't know.
I think we picked a date in September that was like, we didn't want it to be exactly your birthday, but
No, our anniversary's in May.
of course, that's what I'm saying. Now it's May 14th, which is when we got married. But our anniversary when we were dating used to be in September.
Yeah, that one doesn't matter anymore.
It doesn't. No. I'm saying it's good because our birthdays are at this time.
Yeah.
But when was it? Do you remember? We just picked a date because we basically started dating on your birthday, actually.
Yep.
What date did we pick? Do you remember?
I mean, I guess my birthday's September 18th.
No, but we used to celebrate our anniversary. I mean, we only did this like 1.5 times because then we got married, but we did used to celebrate our anniversary of dating. And we had a date that we picked.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was either, though.
No.
It was probably like September 20th.
It's
or
whenever
something.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg died.
That's our anniversary.
Huh?
That's our anniversary.
Yeah.
I think that was on your birthday. No, it was like
It was
a
like-
few days after your birthday.
RBG.
When did she die?
Oh yeah, September 18th.
Nice.
So
On the day. Any other updates before we get into it? I'm trying to think. Things have been pretty good. They've been busy, but at least for me, feel decent. We're both like pretty slammed with work right now, which is not that fun that it happened to us at the same time, but we're getting through it.
yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
The weather's nice here.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a nice week. Mid 70s.
Fall here is really lovely.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be great. I have some stuff, but then you also have a video that you wanted to go through. Is it accompanied by an article, or is this thing that this
Just
is
a
the thing
video,
that you
yeah.
have?
Yeah, do you want to start with that?
Sure.
Plunge
Yeah,
into
yeah,
it.
let's do that.
Yeah. So
And then I'll have some items.
perfect.
Well, let me do some items, and then we'll do this, and then I have an article.
okay.
Or what do you think?
I think the video would be a good draw. Right
Okay,
away.
let's do the video. All right. So this is I'm pulling it up here. The title is Islamic Perspectives of Sex Toys Within Muslim Marriages.
So I wanted to give a little context.
So
to
this is from the perspective of the sex toy.
No, not quite.
Oh, okay.
It is kind of written like that, though. You're right. Some perspective for this because it's obviously kind of like a.
By the way, you chose this. So
I did. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about and react to. So I'll give a little context. Samira Qureshi runs a Instagram account, which I think is called like Sexual Health for Muslims. We can link it
Yes,
in
that
the
is
show
what it's
notes. And she's a really great resource. A lot of folks follow her, and she really tries to give like kind of an Islamic perspective on sex education. And a lot of that involves talking to, it seems like her target audience includes a lot of Muslim women who like have felt shame in the past around sexuality and then kind of carry that into their marriages. So she does work with couples, but a lot of like at least her Instagram kind of voice and persona seems to be aimed to like that demographic.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really cool resource, especially for like teens. I mean, this wasn't my case, but for people who like are trying to really think thoughtfully about approaches to sexuality, just kind of like a non-shame based approach, but that still acknowledges that you are a sexual person. So it's not like kind of talking to you as though you like are supposed to immediately have a switch turn on when you get married. A kind of acknowledgement that you were always a sexual being, that you were created by God as a sexual being. And I don't necessarily agree with like every last thing that she says, but I know that it's been a really helpful tool for a lot of people. But yeah, it's just an interesting dynamic.
What's her background?
So she is a Muslim lady.
Okay.
She has done like some like fit courses here and there, I think. And then she also, I think, has like a degree in psychology and like has worked as a therapist.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know much about
Nice.
this guy. I just have seen him in this series.
She's talking to a guy named Dr. Tariq El-Gawari of Making Sense of Islam. It's a new collaboration series. Okay, I don't know. Oh, he spent 25 years journeying through numerous universities in North America, whatever that means, including Princeton, where he obtained a PhD in Islamic studies.
Nice. So we'll play it and we'll react
he's
as
from
we go.
Al-Azhar as well.
Yeah.
So, all right. What should I start playing it?
Yeah, I think let's play it and just stop and react as we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hey everyone. We have some technical difficulties that are preventing us from using the good mics, so you're gonna have to deal with some deteriorated audio quality here, but
The podcast must go on.
It must go on. All right, let's start this video. Great.
Sexual desire and difficulty with intimacy. And one of the tools that I often recommend that Muslims have a hard time accepting or understanding is the use of sex toys, because they are a great way of enhancing sexual desire and pleasure without it having any sort of long-lasting impact on you. They're not addictive, they're not harmful, and they're quite easy to introduce. So I'm finding Muslims asking, wait a second, are these devices permissible? It seems like it's outside of what marital intimacy should be. So I would love to hear your perspective on this.
So interestingly enough, I was involved in a very small, non-public sex education program in Egypt through the National Fatwa Office, where I worked for a long time when I was studying there. And this is one of the areas that I was tasked with researching and actually procuring sex toys for muftis to review, etc.
Yeah, so let me set a scene here for the listeners. It's night time in Cairo, Egypt. It's the dark candlelit basement of Azhar University. There's a table. A man wearing a nice white thobe walks in carrying a box, and he dumps the contents of it out onto the long table surrounded by a bunch of religious scholars. Dildos, butt plugs, vibrators of many colors, shapes, sizes, lubes all spill out onto the table, and the men ponder them. Is that kind of your mental image of what's going on here?
Yeah, it sounds like it was top secret. So like basement of Azhar, restriction section of the library. Sounds right.
All right. And I wonder what they ended up getting. Like they had to have.
Well, he'll get into it.
Because this is a government budget. Yeah, granted, it's like Egypt's government budget, but it's, I'm guessing they spent at least like $10,000 US on sex toys.
Yeah.
Do you think they got like a Sibian machine?
All jokes aside, I do think this is a really cool contemporary thing that like Islamic law should be looking at. Like I think it's cool that
absolutely,
people are looking at these contemporary questions. It is just like funny because this guy, you can't see him, but he's wearing like a white thobe, but he's got like a red shashaya on, and like that, which is like a hat, and It's just like he's not the kind of guy you're expecting to be talking about sex toys, but I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I am really surprised, honestly, that the government funded it. I don't really quite know what the government angle was, but that's interesting. Is Azhar, actually, that's a question I don't know. Is Azhar funded by the government? I actually don't know that. I'm sure it's also
it's
like
probably
a
a mix.
endowment, but I wonder how that works.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll look into that and get back to you.
I'm sure pretty much all religious institutions are to some level subsidized by the people.
Yeah. Though, like,
right,
in the
whether it's
Islamic
through
world,
taxes or whatever,
that's
you know?
true. There also like have been really long-term waqf endowments, but that might not be enough to solely sustain it. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if they're not paying taxes on property. Anyway.
You're right. That's a kind of roundabout way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the process of that, what I found and what the muftis found is that there are two issues. One issue is that there's a cultural understanding. So I think there's a culture, let's say generically Eastern culture, that might be averse to these type of toys, where in the West it's considered normal. And then that cultural difference leads to what you mentioned, which is some people might think, well, is this even permissible? So the upshot is that it's permissible, of course, between consenting married couple, as long as they both consent. As you mentioned, they're safe. There are ways to clean them.
I really appreciate that he emphasizes a consenting married couple. I feel like there's unfortunately discourse in some circles about like, well, if you're married, then like almost like a right to sex within marriage. Actually, I'm kind of borrowing her language. She's talked about that before.
Yeah.
Which thankfully is not a dynamic we never ever have had that dynamic, and I'm not familiar with that, but I know that isn't a dynamic that exists in other marriages. And the idea that even if you're married, if anything, there's more like a right to pleasure, I think, hopefully, from an Islamic framework, and especially following the example of the Prophet. Like, there's a lot of really beautiful stories about the Prophet's wives and, like, kind of flirting and just, like, sweet everyday kind of life stories. So the idea that, like, even if you're married, obviously there still needs to be consent, and, like, if you want to bring in a vibrator or a dildo, but one partner's not down with it, then that's not, cool.
Yeah. Didn't Al-Ghazali kind of write also about, like, it's a man's duty to pleasure a woman?
I'm nodding, but I think you're the one who told me that. Yeah.
I feel like there's something like that he wrote. Also, he was making fun of men who were also like not well, and so it's like kind of mean-spirited. He was just like, if you're like a man should be able to like fill up a woman or something like that, and like bring her to pleasure and all this stuff,
A review of like sexuality and classical fiqh could actually be an interesting episode. What do you think about that?
Yeah,
or
that'd
like
be fun.
Sex advice.
I wonder what he would say about sex toys too. Anyway,
what do you think sex toys were like back then? They had to have stuff, but they didn't have
people.
batteries,
I mean, there are. I don't know exactly in which cultures, but there have been. I feel like people found like wooden carved toys, which would be horrible.
Oh, but such a good point. I guess like I'm sure there've been dildos. Like of course, I guess obviously there've always been materials
like splintery
dildos. Hopefully not wood, but maybe like.
What else would you? Maybe
metal?
I mean you probably started out wood, but
Metal,
before
for
the Iron
example?
Age, before people figured out how to work with metal, like they probably did cruder.
But still, there was like
maybe
porcelain.
stone.
Oh shit, that broke. Stone. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about material history in that way, but.
Yeah, what else could you do? I mean, you could do.
But
like,
honestly, even like
grass.
a good old school vegetable.
Or you probably just did more like
an eggplant.
Yeah.
A carrot.
I don't think they had eggplants.
Whatever they had. Oh, that was that shape, a zucchini.
Yeah. It feels more contemporary. All right.
There are ways to engage with them that are not harmful. That being said, when we say the word sex toys, there's literally a million options. So that's maybe a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
But what's important to mention is that oftentimes, as you have stated, those toys or those tools have actually saved marriages, because many times there is a type of sexual frustration, not sure exactly where it comes from. It can be physiological, it can be a mental issue, whatever the case may be, and that's a seed for a problem that grows over the years. But then when we introduce the sex toys in an educated way, in a way in
this kind of reminds me of women who are diagnosed with hysteria, and essentially one of the treatments was to have a doctor just like finger bang her
In the Victorian era, yeah.
Yeah, and then
vibrator was
they'd be
invented.
like, oh, well, she calmed down. Thank God.
That worked real
Her
well.
wandering womb has been alleviated for now.
Yeah.
And then that solves the problems in the marriage.
I think this is a little optimistic, I will say. I think that especially if you come from like a really shame-based context, like you might not be that comfortable with any kind of sexual, like a vibrator might not help necessarily.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that kind of, I feel like this is like an issue that, I hate using this word now, but it's just kind of, it is like, it intersects with a lot, right? Like it's very intersectional in that, like, if you have the ostensible goal of introducing a sex toy or something new in the bedroom, that's something that I feel to most people is just like so highly personal, and it brings out, one, it challenges your conception about this thing that you may or may not have learned about growing up, right? Which a lot of our social intercourse is kind of based around like sexual intercourse, right? And so it kind of causes you to question your social relationships. It also causes you to question your own like power dynamic within those relationships. It causes you to address,
what does your,
like, if you are questioning, you know, your understanding of like typical like your social norms, then my assumption is that you're also questioning your place within those social norms, and probably if you're a guy, like,
and if you haven't,
your own power dynamic. Yeah. And then also like you're at the same time having to scrutinize your own insecurities. So if you have someone who's like somewhat thoughtful, like, I mean, this is kind of like where you find out, oh, is this someone who is willing to grow in some sense, right? Like vis-a-vis the sex toys. Right. But it kind of, I guess if you're thoughtful about introducing it, like you do end up working on communication, you work on like addressing some like maybe power imbalances. Like if I assume if you're a woman bringing this to a guy and he has like a horrible reaction to it, and then you end up not doing it, like that should tell you something about the relationship. Or if you end up doing it, then,
well, I think they pretty much only think this is happening in the context of marriage.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I guess.
So it's, yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not really just about introducing the sex toy that I feel like is going to fix it, right? It's not just like, oh, I'm going to have more pleasurable sex,
right.
But it seems like you maybe hit on a lot of other things in the course of doing this one thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's like a yes, and like, yes, it's a good idea to suggest to couples who are struggling because it's just another tool in your toolbox, but also there's likely underlying reasons that they're struggling, or there might be.
Yeah.
And especially if they are like based in religious trauma or shame, or I mean a host of other things I'm obviously not an expert in. It's probably not going to just like fix it immediately.
Yeah.
People are seeking professional help. We have found almost all the time it is totally revived and saved marriages. So really I think it's a very important and under discussed topic in amongst Muslims.
That's such an important point you bring about it literally saving marriages, because sometimes when I'm working with a couple, the challenges in intimacy are quite deep, and it might require long-lasting effort on both spouses. And while that happens in terms of working on oneself, we also need the fix to happen with intimacy so the couple is able to connect. So that's a beautiful way in terms of a very fast solution that works, is introducing sex toys or tools into the marriage so the couple is able to engage with one another and build back that foundation, while maybe longer term issues, some of which are medical or physiological, sometimes they're emotional, that can be worked on and there's a solution being implemented.
But again, sorry, I don't want to belabor this point, but if you have like serious emotional issues, I don't know that you're going to be comfortable just like introducing a vibrator. I don't know how realistic that is.
But that's what I was trying to say earlier, is that if there are emotional issues, then this will kind of bring them to the forefront. Like and then you have to decide, and then I imagine you could go a couple different ways. You could say, let's address it in this context, right? Like, can you get over your emotional issues to just do this thing? Or you can also broaden it and be like, oh, this is just another symptom of these emotional issues that this person won't do this thing. And then that is something that you kind of just have to solve or decide is an impasse through communication, right? Like I would say, if this is something you're doing with a partner who you get the sense is like totally not comfortable with it, and I think we're imagining that it's like usually like a woman bringing this to a man is probably...
Oh, I don't know. I think you could definitely go both ways.
Really?
Yeah, because I could see like a woman, for example, who didn't grow up feeling comfortable or like in touch with her sexuality, being offended, or kind of feeling that she's broken, and a man just trying to be helpful by being like, oh, let's try this, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it definitely goes both ways. But you're right. The more stereotype is like a man being threatened by a vibrator, but I feel like it probably you get both. Yeah. Yeah.
I hope these cars aren't super loud. I hope these cars aren't super loud.
Yeah. Which, by the way, just like vibrators are not like bodies. Like they're nice and they're a nice tool for intimacy, but I never really understood that. Like it's so clearly an inanimate object. Like it's not something that people feel connected to in the way that they feel connected to like a human. And it's just very much like a tool that is what you do with it. And like in the same way that you could use it alone, you could also enjoy your own body alone, you know?
Yeah. I feel like probably more people I imagine would be like a direct analog would be like a dildo, right?
Right.
The same way that I feel like probably a lot of women would be freaked out or whatever if someone wanted to bring like a fleshlight or something like that into the bedroom.
Yeah, I guess when they start to kind of
resemble your body
parts, that does feel like a little more intimate. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way, but I feel like.
But I mean, you're right though. Like I do think there are men who are also just like, even the vibrator is a weird, what was I gonna say? I forgot.
Something else I think they're missing a little bit, though I think they're doing a great job overall, and I really appreciate that they're like a voice for couples who would like trust people with this kind of training and learning and background. I've watched some of their other videos, and they are not like as anti-masturbation as like Christian evangelicals, but they're kind of like, oh, it's a lesser of other evils.
Mm-hmm. Are they
if you're not married?
Yeah, but are they less for that than for the temporary marriage thing? That's kind of people.
They haven't talked about temporary marriage,
really,
but they have been like, you know, if it's that or zina, extramarital sex, like obviously that's the lesser sin is kind of their framing.
I wonder what they're. If you had to compare the mut'a marriage with masturbation, I wonder which one they would say is more permissible.
Yeah, they're both like Sunni and stuff. I mean, not to say that there aren't Sunnis who think about muthawa, but I don't know. My guess is probably not a fan, but
there is. I think we brought it up one time, right? There is like a Sunni. I forget what it's called in the Sunni
of that. Yeah, and there also are like contemporary people who are trying to think about that concept.
Yeah.
But, what I was gonna say is that I also think that that's a little unfortunate because knowing your own body can be a helpful precursor to being able to relax the partner.
Yeah.
So, and they were kind of like, well, when you're married, doesn't matter, but they seem to still be kind of implying in this other video that meant you would, like your partner would be there or something.
While you're masturbating?
Like they were saying, well, I guess they were saying like it's like part of the things that you can do together. Like, they had the good point that like sex isn't just penetration.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's masturbating is the whole idea is kind of solo, right? So if someone's involved, even if they're not touching you, even if they're just looking at you, then it's kind of a different thing, I think.
What's this is also interesting. What's the threshold on that, right? Like at what point is masturbation also simulating sex with, like if you get one of those real sex dolls, you know what I'm saying? Remember in the show Dave?
Like, is that cheating? Like, is that zina?
Is that still masturbation, or is that like, or is that cheating on your spouse?
Or because they're really against pornography, which is very complicated and we could talk a lot about. But is that better than pornography? I don't really know.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd be pretty freaked out if I came home and you had like a sex doll. I'd be like, huh?
Yeah.
But
I feel like it's
not to shame people who obviously that's like, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I would be surprised.
It's ultimately got to come back to like the purpose of the thing, maybe like the purpose of the sex toys is to improve your pleasure with the partner that you have, right?
That's a good point. Like maybe like if you have like performance anxiety or whatever reason, like if it helps you work on something, and
Yeah.
it also if it's
Like what if you
too,
had a
it's
sex
like,
coach who was, I don't know, watching you have sex, right? Like that's like another, but like the overall purpose.
questionable, but yeah,
I don't know. I just overall
from
purpose.
this perspective, at least,
Yeah.
but,
Or if or if you and your partner watch porn together or something.
but that kind of goes back to the thing that I would say the thing with that's complicated still is thinking about other people who might be exploited, but
right.
yeah,
But some sort of pure
outside of the capitalist system.
Yeah, it's just AI generated.
Oh, I mean, maybe. But I was going to say, I think that's the other thing I struggle with a little bit too about this framework is like, I do think that there's power in just being a sexual being by yourself in a vacuum. I mean, it's never really in a vacuum because you come from a context. Gosh,
right.
now I'm thinking about that. You come from all that came before you, but
right.
It's true. And I feel like that's something they're kind of missing, that a lot of confidence comes from just like the ability to be like in tune with your own body.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you like if they're only really allowing for you to explore that within marriage, feel like that might be hard for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey pal, you think you just busted out of a coconut tree? No. You bust in the context of all that is and all that came before you.
Exactly.
You must learn.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I feel like getting back to like if you're doing this with a partner who you feel like is just off the bat resistant to it, I would pair this with a couples therapist.
Yeah, totally.
I wouldn't just immediately try to put a dildo in them, you know?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that is best to have a conversation about before you try it.
Yeah.
And I think it's also good to speak with like I statements. Like, I am struggling with connecting to my body, you know what I mean? Or like, I grew up, whatever the case may be, I don't want to get too imaginative here, but it could be like, I'm afraid of penises or whatever. I don't know. Like I feel less afraid of this or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like I control or whatever, like I can't relax. I want to work my way up,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't be clearer. We're saying partner because we're good little liberals, but they're very clearly talking about marriage.
Right.
Yeah. Which part you could be a partner in a marriage, obviously, but that's their context. They're not saying sex toys are cool if you're not married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I also think is interesting is like I kind of want to see if anything was published from Azhar about this, because I also wonder if there's like a prescription for how to use the sex toy, right? Like is it just to say it's permissible, or is it and like anything goes, or are there like
so at least her Samira Qureshi, she's pretty clear, like every sex act besides anal sex she thinks is permissible with fiqh.
Yeah.
So anything you can think of besides anal. That's her line.
But what does that mean? Like no anal penetration? Like if you had a toy that was just in there, that's bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which like...
But that's not anal sex, but it is penetration.
Yeah.
But it's a toy, not a person. So no one is actually doing the act, right?
Yeah, you're really trying to make this happen, but yeah.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just like, like I'm really wondering.
I mean, even that I think is
stupid.
Like, why? I mean, I know why they think that, but I wouldn't necessarily, whatever. But yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry, not to say it's stupid. I just don't think that's necessarily a default. We should be clear. Anything in Islamic law is not like verbatim, like Islam says this. It's something that jurists came up with through systems of logic.
Right.
So it's like, it doesn't mean you should take into account the tradition if that interests you, but it's not like you have to in order to be a Muslim. You can kind of struggle with it and come to your own conclusions.
Right.
Yeah. Do your own research, write your own fatwa on whether or not anal beads are
write your own
permissible.
Sibian.
Yeah.
So the couple is finding ways to be intimate. I think that's very, very important.
Also, I just want to underscore this cultural issue because I don't want to be, I don't want people watching this to be misunderstood. Unfortunately, the sex toy industry is not done with, let's say, people that share our paradigm, our way of thinking. Yeah. So it's done with a way that glorifies sex in a way that we would not. And in that space, I guess the best word is that I've been to a lot of sketchy places to try to understand this. So I want to underscore the cultural aspect is that we have found that different type of toys, different, whether they be vibrators, dildos, whatever, the case, and we don't need to get more graphic than that. There are differences in how people in different Muslim cultural backgrounds accept those different type of tools. So if people like yourself,
he's just referring to them as tools. Like you just have them on a belt. You just get them at Home Depot. Oh, fuck. I just had a thought. Oh, I feel like there is a great business opportunity here.
Ooh.
Muslim sex toys. If he's just saying, listeners, don't take this idea, but if you do, you got to cut us in, okay?
We're patenting it right now.
Yeah. But if he's saying these are being marketed or these are being devised in a way that is, I feel like there's a market opening there.
Yeah, that's interesting. What would it be maybe for you know what it could be good for? Like you're about to get married and you're having like a halal bachelorette party and it's like, I mean, the thing is you can already do this, but it could be branded specifically for this. Yeah. Really non-threatening looking vibrators.
We finally make our Huri sex doll.
Yes, throwback.
Yeah. Or you could, I mean, just in the way that you market it it's really just the marketing.
It'd be the same tools, to use this man's language.
You can make it have like a prayer alarm clock on it.
Oh my God, no. I don't know if Azhar would.
Yeah. But okay, let's start with the marketing and then see what we're allowed to innovate. Yeah.
Oh, maybe the innovation could be like, how there are like rings now that track like your cycle, your period cycle.
Yeah.
It could tell you you're not some people think you shouldn't have sex then, so it could kind of tell you you could be like, no.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll keep workshopping that. Just a ring that says no.
Yeah, that's very sexy.
During certain times of the month. But okay, we'll come back to that. All right.
In this practice, or myself, or people that are, people seek us out, seek our advice out specifically on this issue. It's important to also understand the cultural background so that you can match the right tool or the right toy to the right cultural background, in addition to educating people that this is Islamically permissible and can save marriages. So that's an important aspect I want to also share.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. The cultural nuances, the sensitivity around respecting our tradition when we're working in this realm and suggesting this as a resource, and then being able to educate Muslims is really important.
I agree.
Okay, well, that was it. I feel like I have a lot more questions about just how they came to the decision, or whether there are more specific prescriptions and things like that. But
I think the beautiful thing is that they're not putting that many prescriptions on it, right? They're basically the goal is for you to pleasure your spouse.
Yeah.
And if this helps do that, you should do it.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a good framework.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Better than I expected, honestly. Because I always liked her, but when I saw she was working with this guy, I was like, oh, we'll see. But I thought he was decent.
Yeah, I just can't get over a bunch of Azharis just looking at, okay, interesting.
I also love just kind of his air of, and he seems like a really nice man, but just I went to the dark places.
Yeah, he makes it sound like he was just
you don't have to.
Like he was in a nightclub in Berlin or something, just wearing a mesh tank top.
Totally, but he had a notepad out. He was like, "This is just for research."
Yeah.
I'm not of this world. I'm just observing it.
Wow, I wish we had known because we were just in Azhar.
Yeah, I think we could have seen.
I mean, if I had known, I would have looked for them. Yeah. Tried to find
all
that secret.
I saw was a cute cat. I didn't see any sketchy research happening, and blinding marble that was very beautiful.
Yeah. Well, actually, I guess we didn't really go to the university. We just went to.
Yeah, is it attached or is it a separate building?
It's across the street, pretty much.
Oh well, I didn't even take that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had some stuff, but I don't. Should we get into it, or should we call it here and then try to figure out the technical issues and do a bonus episode later in the week?
Short and sweet sex episode. That's what this would be. What are we out of time?
40 minutes.
We talked about that episode for 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We can talk.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us like 2 items to round it out, but we'll keep it short?
Yeah, I don't know where I did put my phone.
I think if it's hard, we can also do a bonus episode that works too. But if you have 2 on hand, I'm down to cut it too. I think this is a short and good one.
All right, we'll do a bonus episode later in the week.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Cool. That was a fun one.
You guys say bye.
Oh, bye.